I see it every day in my own home. They seem to be more mentally attuned to each other or connected at some other level. I just can't describe it. The last few years at Buddy Center, I've seen the fathers with their child, and both of them are absolutely devoted to each other. I think it's an unconditional love between the two of them. Their child to look up to them as a role model, but with so much admiration and love. Seeing them together is not only magical, and you would wish all fathers and their children would share the same bond. Fathers are the pillars of strength to their family. Yes, men are from Mars and women are from Venus. Unlike mothers, fathers have a very different coping mechanism in a crisis. Last week, we heard the mothers share with us their life's learning lessons from their special child. Today, we have with us the fathers here to share their transition into the role of special dad. A special thank you to all of you, Mr. Kumar, Mr. Nair, Mr. Alathur, Mr. Didolkar, Mr. Kher, and being with us this Sunday evening. We start this evening with Mr. Amit Kumar, father of Anandita. Anandita is a talented young drummer with $1 million smile. Her smile is so contagious, it brightens the room up and everyone with her. Over to you, Mr. Kumar.
Thank you so much, Karen. Uh, it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you so much for organizing this. I think as Rahul or Manoj was saying, we feel rather jealous because our wives end up doing all the talking while we kind of listen in. So this is a good opportunity for us to actually also maybe share a bit about our own journey as far as our children are concerned. And yes, you're right. Ananda's smile is very infectious. Her name is Anandita, which is joyousness. So I guess it kind of flows from there. Um I I probably would like to start with Anandita's journey because I guess that's how I became a special dad. And I still remember very clearly that day at Breach Candy Hospital, where Ananta was born, and she was in the room, and the pediatrician had come to check on her. And as he went out, Jyotsna, my wife, kind of said, "Doctor, is everything okay with her?" Because her mother's instinct at that point of time told her that something was not. And the pediatrician who was at the door, he said, "No, no, you don't need to worry, Mrs. Kumar, everything is fine." And then he stepped out, and suddenly, for some strange reason, he got back in within a minute and said, "You know what? Something tells me maybe I should just check it out." And he kind of took her to get an ECG done, and then the proverbial hell broke loose. Uh, you know, I won't get into details, but the next 6 months was like a blur, a complete roller coaster, mostly down, not too many ups at that point of time, because what Ananta had at that point of time was a one in 10 million heart disorder, and we were in Mumbai, and surprisingly for India's premier city, the surgical correction she required, which required an open heart surgery, was not available in Mumbai those days, and only one doctor, Dr. Cherian in Madras, could actually do that. And unfortunately for us, the surgery which required to be done in the first 15 days of life couldn't be done because she went on to the ventilator, and we couldn't bring her off. So by the time we reached Chennai, it was 6 weeks later. And the doctors at that point of time actually told us, "Hey, listen, we can't do the surgery. It's too late. And in any case, she's sea arching, so she's got brain. There is something wrong with her brain, and she's probably brain dead." And that roller coaster continued, and we actually reached a stage where they kind of said she's going to be brain dead, and therefore we won't do the surgery, and actively encouraged us to pull the plug, because they said, being a girl child, she's going to be a burden on you. She's never going to get married. She's not going to be able to go to school. Why do you want to go through that trauma? And at that point of time, our transition to become special parents was literally like drinking from a fire hose. There were just so many things happening to us at that point of time. But Jyotsna, to her credit, was steadfast, and again, as I said, a mother's instinct. While I was taking the very practical approach of saying, you know what, maybe we should listen to the doctors, and all of whatever the logic you can have at that point of time. You were talking about coping mechanisms. Uh, Josa said no. Let's just wait and see what happens, because I don't think she's brain dead. I think there is life there. And that's probably the first time we realized that Anandita actually is a very blessed child. It's as though there is this greater force, you know, a higher being which is protecting her, because we decided to go to Tirupati, because they'd given us a couple of days to kind of think about it. Interestingly, there was an astrologer who told us, what her bad period is from October 30th, where she was born, to January the 8th. So we said, okay, we were around January the 6th. So we came back, and, lo and behold, on January 8th, Anandita actually decided that she could get off the ventilator herself. And the doctors at that point of time said, looks like there's some life, so let's get the surgery done. And they did the surgery. They kept telling us less than 10%, less than 10% survival rate. I remember they didn't want to do the Sennings procedure. They wanted to do the Sennings procedure, which is an artificial bridging within the heart to allow the functioning of the heart to continue, but that was kind of guaranteed to result in a transplant of the heart at some point of time. And they decided on the surgery table that they would give her actually the best case scenario, which was they would switch the aorta and the artery that was kind of duplicated, and and she literally got the best possible surgery, and like a miracle in clockwork fashion. After that, she went on and uh, out of anesthesia, met all her milestones, and was kind of okay. But in the process, she acquired cerebral palsy, and that had resulted because of all the life support she had, and therefore there was oxygen which didn't go to her brain. And at this point of time, she has what is called spastic diplegia, which is a result of the cerebral palsy. And for us, probably her life has been the most defining moment for both Josna and myself. And our challenge has really been how we have taken a child who the doctors told us would not live, the doctors told us would not talk, they told us she wouldn't walk. And today, at the age of 19, uh, not only has she survived, as you said, she's a drummer, she's cleared her 12th, and she's well on her way to figuring out how she can be productive and useful for the rest of her life. So that's been for us probably, as I said, our defining moment. It's been a tremendous journey that we've had, and clearly the biggest life lesson that both of us could have. And since this is about what impact does it have and what lessons have we really learned, uh, I would say probably the first lesson we learned was to have faith. Faith that there is a higher being that is supporting us and helping us in these times of crisis, as long as we ask for that help. Uh, the fact that you need to be thinking positively all the time, because even though the rest of the world may be telling you that things are in a certain way, it may not be so at all. And it's positive thinking that really gets you out of some of the worst crises that you go through in life. It's about having the courage amidst adversity. uh, you discover resilience and strength that you never thought you would have. You also discover what's really important in life. It's not about material possessions, it's not about positions anymore. Careers take a back seat. Your focus is essentially around ensuring that you're doing what is required for the child and for the family. And that really becomes important because that is what is truly important as far as your life is concerned. I think another big lesson that we learned was around acceptance. For us, nothing happened as long as we kept asking, why did this happen to us? It was only when we said, okay, it's happened to us, and how do we now approach things and what do we do? It's only when we took that approach that doors started opening. And it was fascinating the way doors just opened because as long as as long as you're in denial and that acceptance is not there, you aren't even listening when opportunities and help comes. But the minute we started doing that, there was a pediatrician who guided us in terms of who the neurodevelopment therapist should be. There was the neurodevelopment therapist who guided us to who the orthopedic surgeon should be. There was an orthopedic surgeon who suddenly came into our lives and within 3 months performed the first surgery which allowed Anandita to reach a situation where she's walking independently. Uh, Therapists that have helped us through, or even the alternate therapy folks, like her drum teacher, who we actually went to only to get mobility going for her, and today it's actually potentially becoming something which she can take up as something to earn her livelihood, because she's become an assistant teacher to him. So it all happens once you start accepting your situation and then looking more towards what you should or should not do. And I think probably the most important thing that we learned was around compassion. Uh, the empathy that you need to have to understand that every person has a potential, regardless of disabilities, because there is nobody who doesn't have a disability. In our children, I guess our disabilities are only very visible, but I would really think there's no human being on this planet who doesn't have a disability of some kind. And therefore, the empathy to understand and look beyond those disabilities to see where potential lies, and to remember that it is our responsibility as people who are responsible for these children to make sure that they fulfill whatever that latent potential is, and therefore to ensure that we are doing our best to provide them with with the opportunities to fulfill that potential. I mean, these were really the huge learnings, and as I said, probably the most defining moments of our lives, and probably life's greatest lesson. Uh, I think I have kind of probably said most of what I want to say. I probably just want to end with one thing. Uh, a lot of people come to us and they tell us, uh, you're very special people because you're so inspirational. Uh, because they see what Anandita was and what she's become, which has been a lot of hard work. But I really believe that God, whether God is male or female, he or she gives their greatest gifts to ordinary parents like us, ordinary ill-prepared parents like us, and that child is actually the one who gives us the greatest lessons, which then convert us and create those special parents that child, who is God's greatest treasure, really requires to go through this particular journey in this particular lifetime. And I guess I just wanted to end with that particular sentiment.
Thank you, sir. That was very inspiring. Thank you so much. We have next Mr. Nair. Mr. Nair is the father of Samiksha. Samiksha is somebody full of life, vim, and vigor. You just can't keep her down. She's so much fun to be around. Over to you, Mr. Nair.
I'll it's been very heart touching what Amit just said. I think it's one of the great challenges that we all go through as special parents. And I think I'll start from where he left. I think, uh, parents like us who have special children, I think we create our own world of happiness. And we believe in things that others can't see. Because normally people people take life for granted. I mean, Samiksha, as her name means, is an overview. She gave us an overview of something that has been very heart touching for all of us. She just taught, at least me as a father, the biggest message of our lives, which is never take things for granted. We think that life will be normal because we are normal. So to say, we are normal, yeah, with all the uh, deficiencies we may all have. Samiksha was born in Dubai. We lived in Dubai for a long time, and that is where we settled for a long time. And uh, she was perfectly fine as a child, and we never thought there was some problem with her. And it is one of those cases where she went back into her own groove, and suddenly we realized something is not wrong. Actually, uh, my wife Jyoti, she has been the primary caregiver for Samiksha. I mean, but for her, we wouldn't have reached where we are today. As a father, yes, we all have our responsibilities, and we feel our role is to support the family, right? Put the dollar in front of every expenditure and make sure things happen. But I think that is a wrong way to look at the whole thing, because you have a role to play, right? I'm a strong believer of marriages are made in heaven and celebrated on earth. And therefore, if we both have decided to come together in this life to live together, then the child or the sibling that you have, they also have the equal right to live and cherish the same happiness we all dreamt for, at least. But now, all the dreams or the dreaming part of it goes away when you have a special child, simply because you are in the real world. You have touched the pole surface and you know what temperature it is there. So therefore, what happens is we realize that she has a problem because some of our neighbors observed her closely, which probably we were not sure what it was about. And then at the age of 3.5, 4, we had a pediatrician in Pune. That is where our home is. We used to come for vacation, and my wife got her tested. And we realized that she's got something called as a pervasive developmental delay, which is a spectrum disorder. Initially, we thought it is about motor skills and all kind of things. My wife, being a microbiologist, she was pretty well aware where this is likely to head into. And then the journey started. We thought this could be fine. We could use some speech therapist and whatnot, improve her attention, focus, concentration, and we might get over. But so we went back to Dubai, and it was not actually what we thought. It started getting a little worse. She was very hyperactive, and we realized that something is not right here. What we lacked in cities like Dubai is, okay, we are all there for work. So as a father, I spent a lot of time traveling uh, for work uh, with limited time at home. And then we realized the social surrounding is something that if we could improve and try and see whether that helps. And that is where the beginning of the journey happened, where we decided that Jyoti and kids will have to move back to Pune. Let's create more social environment. Maybe that helps her being in a crowd. We don't have shortage of that in India. So we said, let's try that. And that is how we came back. And ever since, we have been trying to reunite, live together, but that doesn't happen because we still have our responsibilities to make sure that the child's future is made secure. In the process, as a father, I realized the kind of stress the mother goes through, especially when the mother is alone managing a child. And I still wonder what would have happened Had Jyoti didn't find a book in the shelf of a store in Pune, which connected us to a doctor back in the US. And that is when we realized there is hope, and there is much more hope than we thought. And we could get Samiksha out of the crisis she was going through personally. We never used to figure out what it is. And in the process, there's a lot of impact in your family life. You try to think that, uh, you're short tempered. It tests you, it tests your patience, it tests your perseverance, it tests pretty much everything that we can think of. And all through this, we are all in search of happiness. But we forget that the happiness is at home, taking care of the child. I think when you address that problem and keep her the focus and make sure that everything around her is managed, I think you tend to realize that is your lifestyle. Your life, it's a life changing experience. It tries to tell you you cannot go with the mainstream as a parent. You need to do everything around this child. So be it your activities, be it activities for your sibling. We have a son, an elder son, and then a lot of focus moved away from him. But by the grace of God, the boy was matured much before his age. So that helped us, and he was also kind of a support to Jyoti at home. And that is where I realize as a father, this is something that is going to remain with us. There's no medicine, a quick short formula or a vaccine that will take it away. So then we realize it is about working together. And one of the biggest things that I realized in the process is being in constant communication with your spouse. Because I think when you talk to them, uh, we realize the stress they go through. They also have their dreams, they also have their ambitions. They are not supposed to be locked and caged and said, okay, you are the wife at home, so you have to take care. So we gave each other a lot of time and space as much as I could while I was away. I used to travel frequently to make sure that family connect is maintained. And all of this was like, I never thought about coming back home and planning something great in terms of a party or a get together. It was never in your mind after that. So in our family life, we probably have not seen all of that much, maybe handful, because we plan what to do. So we used to go for our normal vacations, all that was fine. And over a period of time, a lot of therapists. I remember I used to come for a short break from Dubai. Jyoti is just running behind one therapy to another. She's just jumping from one place to another. And the little girl is also cooperating. I mean, she's also fine with it. The kind of stress they go through is tremendous as a child. But then the joy, the happiness of an improvement, we used to see an improvement coming after a long time. I used to wonder, is this therapy right? Is it working? But Jyoti never gave up, and she realized that this is going to change. And I think over a period of time, since we picked this up in 2007, it is 13 years today since we have been going through this iterations. On a scale of 1 to 10, if she was 1 in 2007, she's at least an 8, 8.5 today. And I think that's a big change for all of us, because we came a long way. We were happy. And today, it's fine. I mean, there were times when we used to get scared to go to a restaurant and have a dinner because we don't know what tantrum she would throw. And it's difficult to manage. And you can't, lose your temper there. And therefore, we thought that this is not for us. But all that changed. I mean, all that changed. Samiksha that Karen you see now was not the Samiksha of 2007. Okay. We used to try everything to make her talk. Today we do everything to tell her, give us some time to talk, because she is just non-stop. So that's the way she changed, and I think that's for good, and we are pretty much happy about it. Now, if I were to conclude in terms of the impact that we create, and the biggest thing that worries all of us or today is, I won't say it's a worry, but it is a concern, which as parents we all will have, is she is always around us or her mother. And father is there. And whenever father is at home, as you rightly started this conversation, yes, they have a special bonding attachment. You can actually see children growing older. They get into their adolescent and they have their own shyness and everything, which is good, which must be there. And that is a confidence for you that they can also manage independently. And therefore, the thing that we are looking for, or what we try to now focus on, is what if we are not around? How will this child live independently? Who will take care of her? How do we think, organize things? So I think we were back in 2007. We were in planning mode, planning to see how to get Samiksha out of this, how to help her out, how much to make her come out of this problem to become as much normal she could become. Now I think we are back in the planning phase. She's going to be 18 next month. And now it's back in the planning phase, planning for the future, because we are not immortal. We are going to go away someday, right? And therefore, it is a thought process in your mind. So this special parenting, or as special parents, you always have a challenge. It's a roller coaster ride. It is not static. It is very dynamic, one after the other. So we even try to bring the sibling in. We try to tell him and tell our son how we need to look after Samiksha. And it may not be a daily activity for us to see what is she doing today or tomorrow, but at least there should be a comfort zone that we must create before we all say, okay, now we are comfortable. So, like Amit said, if a livelihood is there, what is that? What is it that will help her to get into that system, right? Determination, focus. These are all qualities that these children have. They have skills that we can never imagine. This is gifted. They bring with it. They bring with them something that people go and learn. But they are our biggest teachers. I guess they'll teach you everything. I mean, even if you lose school uh, on a phone with somebody, and suddenly they come in front of you and say, "Are you upset?" I think that just calms you down, because you realize, why am I losing my temper on somebody I have not even seen? Right? It's a phone call. So those kind of things. So I think that is the planning phase we are back in terms of securing her life, and as long as she lives, making sure that she's comfortable, she can be independent. That's very important, because she will also have to live the life as long as she is destined to live. So I think that is where we all, as special parent, change the phases. And well, is that the final phase that we are in? We have no idea what is in store. But I think positivity helps. And like I read somewhere a couple of years back, that special parents, parenting a special child is like a tight rope walk without a net. Okay. The only difference between us parents and others are we are very close to the ground. So our perceptions are very different. We actually can see what is happening, and we are grounded. So we have a different way of looking at things. So that is it. I will end on. Thank you so much for having me and giving me this opportunity. Thank you again.
Thank you, sir. That was an amazing share. Yes, I have seen Samiksha, I think 6 years ago. And what I see her today, yes, a very different personality altogether. And another thing, to answer one of your questions earlier that you mentioned, what is to become after us? Well, I do have some people coming over next Sunday to speak to us who are in that space just now, who have children who are elder, who are in their 50s and 60s. So we'd like to know their thought processes and ask them to share with us their decisions and what they have done to take care of their child after them. So yes, we'll go to that next Sunday. We have Mr. Kher next, sorry. Uh, Mr. Kher is a father of Balkan. Balkan, I have a special space in my heart for him. One, because he was my first enrollment when Buddy Center got started. And second, yes, he taught me the power of music. With Balkan, music was an absolute tranquilizer. And he was so calm and peaceful as soon as he switched on the music. It was wonderful to have him. Yes, so over to you, Mr. Kher.
Yeah, Karen, thank you so much for this invite. I think we're talking to each other after a while, because Balkan was part of Buddy Group, and then After some time, we couldn't take him to Bali Group because of his own, he didn't want to be there for some time, and then you know, but but overall, Buddy Group has been a strong influencer in terms of how Balkan grew in that period. Listening to Amit and Manoj, our stories have a common ground, but at the same time, our stories are also very special. Balkan came to our life in 2006. And before that, we were blessed with a daughter, Dhriti. And after Balkan, we were also blessed with a son, Ratul. So we have a small team within our house, so to say, Balkan team, when his siblings are helping him in every way to grow. But as a father, generally fatherhood changes men. When you become a father, it's a special moment. Whether it's a normal kid or so-called a special kid, it's anyways a very, very special moment. So when Balkan was born, my father at that moment was hospitalized. He was very serious, and my father was on a ventilator. And doctors had almost given hope on him. They said, probably within a week or 10 days, you're going to lose your father. But at the same time, Kalpana was carrying Balkan, and within that week or within any days, she was supposed to have him. And then Balkan came to our life on 14th of March. And within those days, when I told my father, he was really ill, and he said, you have become a grandfather again. And something special happened, something surreal happened. We started getting him back, and doctors started telling us there is a unique response. There's a unique improvement in your father's health. So therefore, I came to a conclusion that these special kids pick those families. We don't choose them. We don't pick them. The special kids pick your families. They bring in something special, maybe a special emotion, a unique bonding, a unique understanding, but it's they who are bringing those emotions, that unique bond to your family. And since then, our family has been, I would not say a different family, but I guess our understanding of the world changes because, as Amit said, your definition of empathy starts changing because you start relating to people or to kids in a different way, because you have seen now a different world, and the impact of that world onto your own kid. So from that respect, I would say yes, there is a transformation from a father to a special father, but I don't give too much preference to word special because anyways, fatherhood is very special to any man or any woman. Today, Balkan is 14, and when I look back to a journey, how we took him to Chennai, because in the initial period, we didn't know where to look for because the medical world is having no clue. They can look at the report and give you suggestions, and those suggestions can be right, but actually they have no clue to give you something which is credible, which is workable. So which gave us a direction to go to Chennai, because we heard about Dr. Rekha Ramachandran at that point of time. She was also a mother of a special child, Babli, but also as a person, she was someone who could give us some kind of a perspective on this. She could tell us that what you can expect from this kid, and how you can kind of maneuver in the beginnings in terms of occupational therapy, speech therapy, or different kind of therapies one would explore at that point of time. And that's where, to be honest, within those couple of months in Chennai, things kind of started falling in place, and we got our next direction that, okay, in case of initial schooling, we have to look at a certain schooling wherein he can get those exercises, because that's important for him to kind of having his motor skills, getting groomed or getting trained, and that happened for a few years. And that time we were in Mumbai. Then in Mumbai, we also put him to different schools. He was in a primary school, and then he went to a special school of gods, and my wife Kalpana used to take him there. And there also we could find that his social skills, his interaction with people was very nice. He would like to interact with people. And what we also explored, that his special love to dance, because Karen also mentioned his special love to music, was something he would come on his own. The moment a music is on, Balkan is on his own. He's a different person. And thereon we could then bring in that I would say musical therapy at home as well. And then on, probably we saw a different emotional map of Balkan, because honestly, the world, especially in India, is still not comfortable with a kid who may be not moving that fast or reading that fast or playing that fast. So the social environment is slightly still different, and it's not going to change very soon. But what we can change is the internal world. I think the world within the house. And that is the more important, because the moment you make that shift within the house, everything changes. And three things which one can bring to fore, and which also as a father, we always try to bring at the table is, one is the time, because if you give that time to your kid, you're going to understand him more, because you have to invest on his understanding. That's critical. Second thing is, how important is your bond? Because yes, you can be traveling. I'm also a traveling person in my work, but still the amount of time you invest on this kid, or to other kids as well, you will develop that understanding about him, because you would need that knack to pick those things. Sometimes he is saying a word, now we can pick it easily, but earlier it was difficult to pick those words. Though his language now is very clear, but you still have to make that attempt. And that attempt, when you make that attempt, you start realizing that, okay, I could have got it on the second turn itself. He has to make 4 attempts. But next time, probably I will get it within the second turn itself. So you are also telling that I'm now, son, I'm understanding you. I'm trying to make an effort to understand it. And you can see that smile on his face. You can see that small victory on his face, that my own people are now understanding me. And when his own world changes, honestly, when his own circle of family changes, you will see a different person coming up. And we have seen that in our son. He is far more comfortable in his own zone, because he knows his persons are understanding him. There is a certain kind of, not only respectability, there's a certain kind of understanding of him as well. And in the pandemic, I can tell you, he brings in more understanding. He brings in more patience. Wherein the other kids want to rush out and play with their friends, he is still comfortable at home. So that's something which is truly special, because he understands the entire environment. He feels that, okay, we are in 4 walls or within a home, but I don't have to get rattled about it. So those are the things also, I would say, which kind of makes them very special in terms of their understanding of the atmosphere and environment. And I don't look into future that much, honestly. I take it almost a day to day, or as it comes, because how he's going to be in next year, to be honest, I don't know, because he's changing every year, and he's showing great maturity and great growth. So we don't really map future in that sense. But yes, what we are mapping is that we start understanding him more efficiently as a family, or as an extended family with other relatives as well. And he's comfortable, and he is comfortable with his choices, whether that's with food, whether that's with music, or whether that's with small playing time. He's comfortable in those smaller choices. And we bring in small victories within those choices and make him feel special in those moments. And I think that's the focus with Balkan as we move on. Maybe within the next 2-3 years, as he moves, as he grows, as he matures, or as he develops, we might have a different outlook. We might have a different, let's say, objective to now take him to a different direction. But as of now, we are taking it, let's say, at a pack of couple of years, 3 years, and see how it's moving. But I guess I'm blessed. We are really blessed to have a great family. My mother, wife, I mean, this is given his siblings. but also within the place where we live, the entire neighborhood or the close relatives. I think they have been great support. And then you meet people like Karen, and you meet a lot of people like this who bring in a special empathy, who bring in a special understanding on the table, which further kind of helps you in your understanding of your own kid. So yeah, that's how I would like to conclude. It's a special emotion always, and the kind of happiness. And the kind of happiness Balkan brings to our family. It's I don't have any words to tell you. It's a unique happiness. It's a very special emotion to all of us, because even if when I come sometimes home and I'm slightly down, he senses that emotion that my father is slightly not in his thoughts today. So, and I'm happy that he can sense that emotion. And that's a special quality. That's a very unique emotion, that my own kids are understanding my positives and negatives, my ups and downs. And Balkan is part of that ecosystem as well. And yeah, we are blessed. I can only tell you, as I would like to repeat, we don't choose them, they choose us. And we should be happy and thankful to God that we are their parents, or we are part of their family. And this is the note I would like to end it on, guys. Thanks once again, Karen, for inviting.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Very inspiring. Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Alathur. He's the father of Ria, a bubbly, on-the-go teenager. Ria is multi-talented and always happy to share her talents with everyone. Over to you, Mr. Alathur.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. It's amazing meeting all the dads, and Karen, thanks to you. It's amazing what, and whenever Ria logs on, I'm somewhere in the vicinity, eavesdropping, and so I really see and hear all your kids and Rahul, Manoj, Amit, Sachin. I really can hear and their participation, and it's amazing how Karen encourages that social interaction, using this platform Zoom. And again, thanks, Karen. It's amazing, and it's amazing listening to you guys, Rahul, Manoj, Amit, and I'm looking forward to Sachin also sharing his view. But pretty much what you guys have said is resonates with me as well. The thing that we went through, all of us, from what the discovery phase, and then you go through those different stages of denial and anger and blame, and then then acceptance comes much later. But between Rekha and me, we kind of played a little different roles from each other. She's the more practical, the pragmatist, and I am the more head in the clouds, optimist, probably over optimistic about things. And so my transition to acceptance was probably faster in the family. And it was like, okay, what do we do next? What do we do next? What can we do next? And I keep pushing that boundary, and Rekha is more like keeping us grounded, saying that, okay, this is what we have to do. This is what, the next steps are, and so on. And I'm like, let's go, let's leap forward. Let's, give everything we can. One thing I must say is that we have been fortunate being in the US because of the resources available here. They are certainly, and it's because we still have a lot of contacts, and friends back in India, and of course families like you we're in touch with. And then we definitely feel in some way the opportunities here present themselves differently than what is there in India. So we almost take it for granted that these opportunities have to be provided, or we have opportunities where we can fight for things that are, we feel they need, like what Ria needs, and we are not being given. So I think that element of I guess, luxury is there, we sometimes forget that, that is actually a blessing in disguise where we're able to do that. So in a way, hats off to you guys, given what we have, the resources you have, it's amazing what you have done, Rahul, Manoj, Amit, Sachin. It's kudos to you. But the most important thing, as I heard, is what I keep doing is I just keep pushing her. I stopped fixing things. I stopped looking at things to fix or correct. We were in that mode, and coming from being Indian parents, the Indian parenting style is different. We've been grown up with if you don't do thappad bhi lega, that kind of thing, and you can't just do that with them, because they don't even understand it. They don't get it. They don't know why they've been so-called punished, and so we kind of stop that. And so for me, the transition was, okay, our traditional Indian style of parenting doesn't work, or any kind of parenting that you've ever seen doesn't work, because now you are with a different child altogether. The whole child rearing process is completely different, and so you have to change your style of expectations. That's one of the most important things. And we all have set our expectations high, or based on what we've seen growing up and what we've seen in our friend circle, and that doesn't work. So when we go to parties and get-togethers, there's always this group talking, and then we realize that we live in a different world altogether, and we realize there are different paradigms where yeah, sure, other families live there, great, they are checking off their milestones and their kids, and they're talking of college and admissions now, and we have different challenges, and that's fine. And that is something we have learned to accept, that we don't live in the same world that everyone else does. And we cannot measure RIA as measured by, as they measure their kids, and the benchmarks that the world as society has set up. And I think that was a big, I would say, relief for us, because then we said we can set our own milestones, we can set our own goals. We don't have to adhere to what society says is these are the benchmarks. And to a certain extent, the society has been a more, I guess, accepting in a way that, okay, there are opportunities out there. And so one of the things is, we would always push Ria to do everything, whether we know she's capable or not capable. And one thing we learned is that we really don't know. Even now, we don't know how much these kids can and cannot do if you just give them the opportunity. If you just give them that chance to show you, you will be amazed. And we have been amazed many number of times, only because we have said, okay, let her do this and let's see. She may not get it the first time, second time, no. We gave her a bicycle to ride, and she could not ride it for 2-3 years when all her other her cousins and other kids were riding and all that. And all of a sudden, one day after 2 years, she just sat on it and went away. And then we realized that she will do it at her pace. That's another thing we learned, that letting them, give them the opportunity, and they will pick it up at their pace. But they will surprise you. And that's something I've really learned. And I realized, okay, this is great. I mean, I feel good. I love to be surprised. So I just started pushing her in everything: sports, music, arts, anything that I would give her, find opportunities, I would push her in. Obviously, I realized not everything works, and that's fine. We know now what she can and cannot do, but we still give her the opportunities. And that's something I've learned to do, and I still do that. Especially that, I look at my sister-in-law, she's got 2 boys in the same age group. And I was like, okay, when I'm building something, and here in the US, it's all do-it-yourself culture where you have to build everything, assemble things and all that. So I love doing it, but I wish I could have help. And then I started giving Ria the sheets and the manuals and say, why don't you fix it yourself or help me do it? And now it's become a culture in a house. Anything that needs fixing or assembling, I make her do it. Yes, she stumbles, she fails, I supervise her, and then I check it, and then she is able to do that. So that's another surprising thing which people are, oh wow, how come you're letting this girl do all this? I mean, she does it. And that is the kind of surprises that now we are indulging in. And so it has led to a lot of successes, I would say. And especially we started seeing then a pattern. And then you'll start seeing the secret formula of your unique child. And one of the pattern that we started seeing is she is a visual learner. She is can do things independently. Even though she has no skills, she has confidence. In fact, when she started swimming, she would just play in the water, and then the instructor would just hold her up and say, she's got more courage than skill. So we have to like be careful with her because she will jump into anything. I said, great, let her do it. And then we started realizing that she is good in anything that's scripted, choreographed, because then we started seeing her excel in gymnastics. I said, great. We put her in soccer and football and all that. Then there's no teamwork there. I said, okay, fine. She doesn't work in teams. She works independently. So that's another thing we checked off in her box. Then we started realizing that if you make her practice, she absolutely excels in it. Then we started seeing a pattern. She started excelling in gymnastics. We put her on the ice skating. She was very good in that. Then we started realizing her motor skills are supporting her. That's good. She has her fine and gross motor skills. And then we started seeing that, okay, put her in plays and dramas. She was amazing. She would be a totally different child on stage. ये तो ड्रामेबाज है यार. I mean, she goes on stage and she loves the adulation and all that. So we started pushing her there. That's when I started realizing that there's a pattern here. If you structure an environment, you script it out for her, you choreograph it for her, she will succeed. Then we started realizing that we started putting that formula everywhere. So then gymnastics, great. She became the New Jersey state champion in Special Olympics. And then she was given an opportunity to go to Seattle for the US Nationals, and she became the national champion in gymnastics. So that she achieved that. And then she started singing, and then her plays, she started getting into dramatics and theater, and she started excelling there. Okay, great, check. Ice skating, great, because then we started realizing everything's structured, choreographed, scripted, and practice. So that's when we started realizing, okay, now there's a pattern there, there's a formula, let's start capitalizing on it. And then now we have reached, she's going to turn 18 in December. In fact, around the same time, I know Samiksha's birthday is next November, I know. So then we started realizing what next. So now you have to look at that formula in terms of how she can independently, make a living, how can she live, and so on. Then we started realizing, okay, let's find a vocation that is structured, that is, has everything choreographed, laid out, that like how she assembles things, there is a assembly sheet, step 1, step 2, step 3. So let's look for jobs that have that kind of structure and that. And so right now it's all about vocation and learning. So for me, it's a transition from, being, I myself, I think very creatively. So I keep doing all kind of crazy things, and I try to make her do crazy things. And that's when I'm surprised that she can keep up with me. And now, oh yeah, let's try different jobs and vocations. You want to be a computer graphics designer, or you want to get into something else. Let's see what you can do. And that's what the challenge is right now. So for me, it's been an amazing journey. It's more about, teamwork. That's where maybe I can afford to do this, because I know Rekha, my wife, she's the pragmatist. She keeps both of us grounded and says, "Ha, theek hai, bas bahut ho gaya. Guys, chill." and so I can, do the other part and push her in doing crazy things. So that's my journey. The one thing I would definitely like to share is, yes, focus is Ria, absolutely, our lives revolve around her, but you must take care of yourselves as well. Because if you don't focus on yourself, then your support structure for her becomes weak. And so, as much as we want to spend our everyday lives and want to earn our living to, support her and give her the foundations, or leave a legacy for her, or him, it's important that you take time off for yourself. There is something called a me time. And between Rekha and me, I think I want to use the word selfish, but in the right sense, you have to look after yourself. You have to take time off to unwind, to do what gives you internal happiness and joy for yourself. And I think it's important you do that. There is no time in the day to carve out, but if you're diligent enough to carve out time for your son or your daughter, you have to do something for yourself as well. And so, yes, I early mornings is a great time. I unwind. I do my yoga. At the same time, I do a lot of catching up with social media. Yes, social media is not good, but I think it's a great outlet for me. And if you guys don't mind, I'd love to start a dad's WhatsApp group. Let's share our personal things, and love to do that. So that's important. And Rekha does the same. She has her downtime. She has her me time. Yes, when we have friends over, we love to have Ria constantly socialize, but at some point, okay, let her do what she wants. Let us unwind with our friends. And so that, I think, is also important for us. Our health. We have all our own health issues, and it's important we take care of that as well, because that is important. If you have to be strong enough to provide this environment for your son and daughter. So that's another thing I learned. There is Ria, but there's also you. So try and see how you can fit everything together. And it's a nice puzzle to, put together and play with. Be as creative as you can. And please bring out your inner child. And I don't think dad should grow old and, be the fatherly figure. Absolutely. We all have our kids inside of us. So please just have fun. It's a journey. uh, just have fun. That's all I can say. So Karen, thank you very much. In fact, I'm making you an offer. I also entertain kids, and I have my characters and all that. So if you want me to make a special appearance on your show, I'd love to.
That sounds so interesting. Thank you so much, sir. That's lovely.
No, please don't call me sir.
We-
We are all first name basis.
Thank you. We have Mr. Sachin next. Mr. Sachin is a father of a little 10-year-old, Sarah. Unfortunately, I have not had the privilege of meeting Sarah as yet, but I have come to know about Sarah from her mom, whatever information she shares about little Sarah on Facebook. But I'd like to share with you a little message that her fathers had sent me. I thought it was very heartwarming. This is about Sarah from her family. Sarah is a 10-year-old beautiful girl who is like a butterfly in the wind. So each day is a celebration of life. Caring, love, and gratitude are her personalities. She inspires us to live happily ever again. Over to you, sir. Sir, could you please unmute yourself? We can't hear you. No, we can't hear you.
Is it okay now?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you so much for this opportunity. After listening to Amit, Manoj, Rahul, and Shri, I don't think so. I have anything to say because they are all been there, done that, and and it's a great inspiration for me listening to them. Firstly, I would like to say that I feel that I'm not alone in this. There's so many of us together, and we all are a bond, for our little ones. And everybody's journey, when we listen to, there's something or other which is similar, but everyone is different. And that's where Sarah also has a journey. So Sarah was born in 2010. She's 10 years old right now. So when she was born, unfortunately, I was not around. I was in Hyderabad and she was born in Nagpur. However, so when I reached, I got to understand that there's something happening with her, and that's why she had some 10 days of NICU admission, and then later we got her, and then the journey started. Um, my wife Neha is a physiotherapist, NDT therapist. So that was something where, this all was new for me. And as she knew about what is the journey, it was basically a lot of help for Sarah and for all of us as well to understand what our daughter is going through. Also, what happened that being a mother, being her a therapist, she took everything on her and started this journey alone, kind of, because I was busy in my profession. I could only support where I could. And then it was time when we came in together and took it forward. However, her primary therapies, her be it a speech therapy, or be it her own physiotherapy, or her occupational therapy, anything, that was all done by Neha. And whenever I had time, I started contributing as well. However, I realized that, again, like you all said, that this is not something which can be cured by a drug or by an operation. This is going to be cured, or this can be, um, only a betterment will come in years and years. And that's what has happened with Sarah as well. Sarah, as I said, she's like a butterfly. She's every day, it's celebration. Every day she looks forward to celebrate in some way or other. She'll have her balloons all over the home. She'll have party happening at home. She'll want to have uh, uh, some or other occasion celebrated. And I think that keeps all of us cheered up. That keeps all of us really motivated, and to look at life in a very different perspective. um, as everybody said, you all have a great 18 kids are 18 years old or 19 years old, and you've seen life passing by and betterment every day. That's how Sarah has been as well. Sarah, when she was born, she could not eventually she could not talk. She could not walk. She's still on a wheelchair. She talks, but whatever she talks, we can understand, and it takes time for other to understand. But um, whenever she says something, it is so meaningful. It is something which leaves for a long. I can tell you right now. Also, when she knew that I'm talking, she went away from this room where I am sitting. But before going, she said best of luck to me. So that's how they are, they will say something which leaves, like, those are like impressions which are everlasting, and memories which keep continuing. She um, she likes to dress up. She goes to school, so whenever there is any national day or any festivities, she looks forward, she dresses in that way, and then she goes out, enjoys. She has her own world. She has her own friends, and sometimes she tells me that she's gonna make a gang with her friends and beat me out. So that's how we enjoy sometimes when we play. I think this lockdown has really worked well, because really got some time to spend with her, and could cook a lot. I come from an hospitality background, so I work with hotels, and but I was never with culinary. But then I started cooking as well, and every evening or in the morning, I used to cook something for her, and she loves food. She really relishes them, and that gives me an opportunity to be really close to her. I really don't know how future is gonna be, but I'm sure that she in our life is definitely gonna be, like a roller coaster, which we all are part. Be it my wife, my 4 years old kid, who's her younger brother. But we all, like, we all bond together when we are watching something, a series or a movie, or we have our own, whenever we have our own time. So it's really fun being with her. And um, and and I think, she likes to be a part of each and everything. Last week, on one of a virtual session, she made a box bhel, with her friends. So she actually made it for her friends. So and everybody copied her. So that was a great session. I and her together cooked cookie. We baked cookie. Sorry. So that was fun as well. So those are those small things which I contribute, which I do with her. Even if it is a session where I'm feeding her, but sometimes I really become lose myself, because if I'm not properly able to feed her, or she's not eating. But then I feel that's all part, and it only helps me also to not to stress, but to stress out from my work and from being with kids around. So the journey so far in this 10 years has been really well. We've also achieved a lot of lot of things what we have achieved, a lot of milestones we have taken together. And I think there are so many more to achieve in the future. And I love that idea of making a WhatsApp group. We should, because it is definitely going to help somebody like me to understand more from all of you, who are more experienced, or who have seen more summers in total. And yeah, I look forward to contribute more to her, and be more part of her journey, which is a our journey, I can call. Yeah. I think that's it, Karen. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for sharing with us. We have Mr. Bankar, father of Amai. If any of y'all know Amai, he's the most gentle, docile, and calm teenager you'll ever come across. There is such a peaceful aura about Amai that when you are with him, you tend to be calm yourself. You can't just help it. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Amay is 12 years old. He is a case of Down syndrome. And today, based on the topic, the requirement was to cover, as a father, what transition you brought in or you had to see in yourself to cope up with a special child and being his father. So I have not jotted down something as inward. What was the inward introspection? Points like your own time to your child, or your child's learning curve, and the associated things, or their copycat behavior, which can come to an advantage. And on the outer or external interfaces towards society or his friends or siblings. So how is their interaction with their siblings or with society when they are in close interaction with their friends in school or so. So what learnings as a father we got. So I have just some points. When I come to the first point about your own time, giving your own time to your special child. uh, Actually, we saw that Ame being he was very always eager to be in your company. He was always looking forward to more interactions and associations. So it was always your onus or your ownership to use his time in a very effective way. So it was more of a challenge on the father to uh, plan his time with the kid, plan his interactions so that whatever activities we do or engage him in with, it is good for his future development, his own well-being, and that is more productively used the time. So that one thing was always there. Unlike in a normal child, we only bothered when somebody gave a feedback or there was something to be worked upon. But here there was a case where you had a blank, what you call a blackboard, blank board, and you were the architecture. You were to draw how your child will come up or how he will look like or be in future. So it was more binding, more demanding, and this thing happens in a very early stage of your career as well. So lot of things are in a way learning, contradicting, and demanding as well. And if I think that must be the most tedious or crucial phase of your life, when you are in your career peak as well, and you have to cope up with all this extra activities which require time being the major factor. So the second thing is about the learning curve. So very soon come to know that once you consistently feed them or give them some inputs, they in the long run learn. And once they learn, it sustains, it remains in their memory. So you start developing that patience. So very soon you come to know that it is for you to develop that patience, that understanding, to take your child along the whole learning curve. It may be that you are not in a mental frame of mind, or physically not willing to undergo that activity with him, maybe tell him a story at bedtime, or things which he look forwards to. So this transformation, you know that what are the gap areas where you can contribute, and what is more wanting in you, so that your child gets the best of his time and your time. So this was the second thing where you could stress yourself after a day's work. If you have to spend time and even tell stories till he falls asleep, so it was in a way a learning curve where you could sweet smile on his face when he falls asleep. That was equally rewarding and more encouraging for future such interactions. On the third thing about their copying ability, it is an advantage because whatever you do unconsciously they copy, or if they are in front of you they even imitate. So it was more of a learning for us to be always cautious, how best we can do to do things knowingly, unknowingly, so that they inculcate those habits, or they absorb those good things which are more beneficial for them today, and it helps them in their overall well-being and development. So you being always on the alert was also demanding, but it's like it has to become a way of life. It's very easy to say so, but you have to every time be cautious with your maybe emotions when dealing with him, or even with others, because they will be very quick to imbibe and sense the uh, mood moods and other things. So that is another transition which takes time, but yes, you know where you stand and what changes it can bring for the betterment of the kid. On the outward side, when we see them going to park or interacting with society, we saw that we as a parent have to be more prepared and expect what others can come forward or come forth. So it's our onus to be more prepared with the anything unexpected. If you go out in a mall, so if you are with him, maybe it is you have to be on the outlook that things are taken care of and nothing is going out of hand. So with that sense of every time you are keeping in check the kids behavior activities, but at the same time if he's curious, he's showing interest in some window shopping, you just stay with him and explain more. So again it's more of a aligning your activities or energies with his choices. So that takes a while, and it's not always possible in a crowded or social place, but these small things maybe makes him happy at the end of the day. And next is about their interaction with siblings. So he has an elder brother, but we always thought that if we tell him to mentor the younger one, he will not be able to play or things will not go as expected. Engaging him, binding him, he will not be able to play or do things of his choice. So there was always a tussle, how to manage this thing, how to get the elder one, be more useful for the younger ones, this thing benefit. But in time is the only solution. Later on, when the elder son got feedback from people that he's very taking care of the younger one very good in a very good way. So he was very happy that it is the society norms that people also expect him to help his younger brother. So he was more willingly helping and taking care of him as a mentor. So these are the few things I could hurriedly jot down, like what internal transitions and external transitions I could see happening in me or wanting in me to bring up this special child being a father, to devote him the required time and nurture his likings and take care of his needs, immediate and future. And thanks, Karen, for inviting us for this one, so that we are all more aware and united for a cause. Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes, it has been a very inspiring evening. The bond between the father and the special child is so strong and just inspiring to all of us. They all have a deep connection with their child, which some could only wish for. They are not only the rock of their family, but also a sounding board so often. At Buddy Center, I have had the privilege to see many such dads in action with their child and seen how they connect with them at just another level. I have much more admiration for all of you, sir, over here. So much more. I'm sure if a book or a movie could be made on every single parent with a child with special needs, they all would be box office hits or bestsellers. A big thank you to all of you, to all the dads for sharing with us this evening. Thank you so much, sir. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Karen.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you. Once
Thanks,
again.
guys. Nice meeting you all.
Same here.
You should get that WhatsApp group started.